guys, I'm Samantha. I'm here to do the book recommendation tag that I had stumbled across on Alexandria Rosalind's channel. There are 15 questions, so let's go ahead and get started. A book that you tell people that is your favorite, and that will be really my favorite, like a vampire book that I've been going on and on about recently, is the Blue Bloods. In the Blue Blood series by Melissa De La Cruz. This is a YA, I think it's like a 9-book series now that kind of like, she has a whole multiverse in this kind of area, so it's definitely one I highly recommend to people that is a different take on vampires. 2, a book that is your guilty pleasure. Probably, I would say It Happened One Summer by Tessa Bailey. I ended up enjoying this a lot more than I had anticipated enjoying. So, and I'm not much of a romance reader, at least I don't claim to be a really big romance reader, so I will have to say that. 3, a book everyone loved but you didn't. I will have to say Crave by Tracy Wolff, I think. I am blanking, at least Crave by, and that is a big series amongst my friend group who have been trying to get me to read the rest of the series just to figure out what all the hype is about. I read the first one sometime last year, gave it 2 stars. I'm not chomping at the bit to continue the series anytime soon, but it's definitely one that everyone seems to love. 4, a book I've read the fastest, probably the first 3 books in From Blood and Ash. I happened to read all 3 of those chunky books within a week, which is probably the fastest I've read a book in a while, to be honest. And it's just an easy read for me to get through. 5, a book that deserves more hype. Would say Fractal Noise by Christopher Paolini. It's a sci-fi prequel to Sleep in a Sea of Stars. I don't hear a lot of people talking about it, but I really did enjoy it when I read it, and I'm not really big into sci-fi right now, but I highly recommend it. 6, a book that is becoming a movie or a TV show. I think probably A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. That's been in talks of being in production, but with the writer strike going on, I'm not too sure like what the status of that is currently. 7, a book that you have reread the most. Probably Harry Potter. I've reread the series many times. 8, a book from a genre you don't typically read. Ooh, I could have used Fractal Noise for this. Probably I will go with werewolves. It's not really a genre, but it's a part of paranormal that I don't typically read a whole lot, but it will be Wolf Song by TJ Klune. I think just because of the shadow of Twilight with vampires and werewolves, they're not my go-to. I am more of a witchy person. Obviously, if you've been on my channel for long enough, you'll know that, but definitely Wolf Song is probably one of the best werewolf books that I've read in such a long time. 9, a book that deserves all the hype it gets. Legends and Lattes, hands down, by Travis Baldree. It's such a cozy book, and I can see why it's been getting all the hype. 10, a book you usually recommend when asked to give a recommendation. It's not a book per se, but I usually suggest an author. I suggest people checking out Tamora Pierce when they want a good starter into like epic fantasy. She does a lot of YA, like middle grade to YA, like fantasies, and that is how I got into the fantasy genre, is through her books. 11. A book that has your favorite character or characters. Trying to remember. Probably, like, a favorite character is probably Sailor Moon, from the Pretty Guardian Sailor Moon manga series. I've been kind of going back into childhood and reliving that. I watched the manga, like, well, anime, like years and years ago as a child, which, like, just, I grew up like kind of watching that on and off and just love it. So I've been reading the manga this past year, so I've been really enjoying it. A book that you wish you could live in. Really, I want to live in the cottage from The Witch's Daughter by Paula Braxton that Elizabeth, if I'm remembering it, it's her name correctly, or I think she goes by Bess in some iterations of her lifetime, but her cottage, it just sounds super cozy. I would love to live in a cottage like that. 13. A book that you thought you would hate but ended up loving. Probably the Thalia Dynasty books by Katie Roberts. It's a male-female romance erotica series that honestly I'm enjoying a lot more than I had anticipated, and it's not typically a genre I read a whole lot in. 14. A book that made you cry. I hate this type of question in any of the book texts because I feel bad because I don't cry at books typically, and hasn't been a book that's had made me have that kind of reaction. And last is 15, a book that you wish you could read for the first time. House of Earth and Blood, for sure. When I first read that, it was during, like, I think around COVID time, and I was hooked on that book. And that actually started my foray into Sarah J. Maas universe. I loved that book, and if I could reread that for the first time, I'd be a happy camper. But those are all 15 questions in the book recommendation tag. Let me know in the comments below if you have any books that you want to recommend to me. I might do a video in the future of maybe reading recommended books by you guys. So if there's any books that you recommend me to read, let me know in the comments below. Like this video if you liked it, and subscribe to keep up to date with any new videos I come out with in the future. And until then, you guys, bye.